Hello everyone, welcome back. Lots of stuff has happened in the past few weeks, in the past few months regarding the collection, but that video will be filmed next. Just some things got traded and I got some new acquisitions on that. But today's video was inspired by a fragrance that I decided to wear to bed the other night to go to sleep, and it's something that I've reached for pretty frequently, but never really thought about making a video on it. But today's topic is going to be fragrances that are underrated or overlooked. So they're not really talked about as much as others in their respective lines. And so we're going to kick off this video with the fragrance that I wore to bed the other night, and I was just mind blown by it because it's a very classy and comforting fragrance to me. So this is Christian Dior's Santal Noir, which at some point was discontinued. This was a 2018 launch, so pretty recent. So it was somewhat discontinued, and then I think now it's back for purchase again in the smaller 125 ml bottles, and then I think you can buy the 8.4 ounce version, which I don't know if it's 250 or 500 mLs. Anyways, there's only two sizes available now, and I think it's only in Europe. So this is a bottle of Santal Noir, and there's no notes listed online, but this is basically the three notes that you can find online are sandalwood, Turkish rose, and ambrette, which is a musk note, so it's a musk mallow. It's a very sweet musk, but the rose here is very gorgeous, very straightforward, slightly jammy, but not pushing it to the extreme. So it's very likable in my opinion, perfectly unisex, very comforting. That sandalwood note does give you this beautiful haze and creaminess to the fragrance, so it kind of rounds everything out. It gives everything a nice rounded edge versus being very scratchy and abrasive. So this is very, I guess, elegant, I would say. That you can definitely dress this up. If you were to wear this with a, white button-up shirt, it would work well. If you were wearing a tuxedo, it would work well. If you were wearing a gown to a gala, this would work incredibly well. It's not offensive at all, in my opinion. Some people do have trouble with some of the notes in here, but in my opinion, I think it's very likable. Every time I've worn it, I've gotten compliments on it. Projection for this one is pretty solid in my opinion. I don't know what the newer iterations of this entail, but as far as I'm aware, this bottle works well on me. I highly enjoy this. Like I said earlier, this is perfectly unisex, but we'll leave it off with that. Santal Noir, if you haven't tried this, I highly recommend at least getting a decant just to kind of experience this. This is one of their best in my opinion. Kind of unique, I would say, but still very mainstream likable. So it doesn't go full niche, but it does excel in its creativity, I would say. Going forward, just to talk about the list that I'm about to speak of, a lot of these have a lot of spice. A lot of these have a lot of fruits, and the majority of these are rated 4.0 or under on Fragrantica as of recent listings. So they're all, not easy blind buys, I would say. So definitely take what I say with a grain of salt. Up next, we're gonna do the other one that I wore to bed the other night as well, and then the following day I wore it out and about when it was a windy day, was Gucci's Mémoire d'un Odeur, and that is translated into Memory of a Scent. Perfumer for this was Alberto Morillas, which is, I was going to say which is surprising, but it's not surprising. He did a lot of their higher end line. I forget the name of it at this point. The Gardens or something like that, but he did all of those, but he did this one before. He did this, I think, in 2017, 2018, similar era, but the top notes for this one are chamomile, bitter almond, the middle notes are musk, Indian jasmine, you got jasmine as well, and then at the base you have sandalwood, cedar, and vanilla. So this was supposed to be a scent to remind you of your past. So Alberto said that this, a lot of people have memories with chamomile. So, and I think he said not many brands had done a chamomile fragrance. So he decided it was the note that they were going to focus on. And this just came out really gorgeous. This is a really complex scent. It's a designer release, but it's extremely niche in my opinion. It is a hard wear if you're not expecting it. It is very strange, it's very abstract, but it's also very comforting at the same time. And the sillage on this is insane. Lingers in the air for a while. If you don't like it at the beginning, give it a couple hours, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and smell it again. If you still don't like it, try it on somebody else, or try it, spraying it on something and then revisiting it later, because it is a very changing scent. You get something different every time. Let's put it that way. In the cold, in the heat. But I will say that the top notes on this are very, very pungent. Sometimes it gives me a headache, but eventually I overcome it. And every time I'm walking around wearing this, I do feel this vibrating cloud around me of all of these beautiful florals. So you got those jasmines, that jasmine note, you got the chamomile, and then it does, dry down to a more balanced sandalwood fragrance, so very creamy. So screechy at the top, and then it gets a little more mellow and kind of coast from there. But very gorgeous scent. This was discontinued, but you can easily find it anywhere. Very cheap actually, which is, kind of a really good deal. I guess if I were to compare this DNA to something, it would be Mugler's Alien. So this is a very alien-esque fragrance, and I just made the connection as to why, but there is jasmine in here. It's a very dirty jasmine, but also clean, so that does make sense now. If you like Alien, you definitely like this, and if you don't, then I think you'll be repulsed by it, but highly recommend this. Really well priced, and just an exceptional fragrance in my opinion. But it's very divisive. If you look online, you'll see people, some people don't enjoy it, some people love it, they think it's very comforting. I think it's very comforting as well. It's a nice tea scent, so we'll leave that there. Next, we're going to go with this one. So this is Le Labo's Labdanum 18. I have a interesting story with this one. I purchased a bottle a long time ago, ended up selling it, regretted it, and then bought a bottle again a month later, and this is that same bottle from like 5 years ago. So I've had this for a while. I do wear it quite often, even though it doesn't look like it, but I do wear this one a lot. And this was made in 2000, before Musc Ravageur. So this was made by Maurice Roussel, who did Musc Ravageur 7 years later. Oh wait, no, I got that backwards. This is actually made after Musc Ravageur. So this was made in 2007, I believe. Musc Ravageur was 2000. So this is very similar on paper, but they are different on skin, I would say. This one's a lot more dry, a lot more ashy. They both have a similar amount of vanilla in there, so I do consider both of these like spicy vanilla fragrances, Musk Ravageur and this one. But as far as being underrated, this is definitely an underrated Le Labo. In my opinion, it's one of their best, one of their most complex. But I can see why it's not popular. You know, you don't have any citrus notes in here. You just have what is considered a base heavy fragrance. So the notes on this one are French labdanum, vanilla, civet, musk, resins, castoreum, tonka bean, gurjun, balsam, patchouli, birch, and cinnamon. So a bunch of hard, heavy notes. So if you like that kind of scent profile, you'll definitely enjoy this. In my opinion, it's not very overpowering. It's another very comforting scent in my opinion. It's cozy, it's spicy. This one does have a lot of complexity as well throughout the wear. You do get different facets of it, and I'm gonna repeat this again, but this does wear well in the cold, in the 60s in the Fahrenheit. It does well in the heat, in my opinion. I have worn this in 100-degree weather here in Texas, and I think it's really fun to wear fragrances in all kinds of weather to kind of experience it. Adjust this amount of sprays you do, because that can affect your experience with it, but I do recommend trying it out and wearing it any occasion. Honestly, wear it to bed, wear it to go get groceries, just kind of experience it around in different environments, because that's kind of how you get the overall picture of what a fragrance is and how it makes you feel. So next we're gonna go with a Frederic Malle, since we were talking about Frederic Malle earlier, and this is one of my favorites from the line, and this is Noir Épice. And this is another spicy fragrance with some citrus notes as well. And this one has, on the top, you got geranium, orange, and rose. In the middle, you got cloves, nutmeg, pepper, cinnamon. And at the base, you have patchouli, sandalwood, cedar, and vanilla. So just a really good-looking fragrance on paper. And this does translate well on skin and straight from the bottle as well. Looking at the paper, you would think this, or looking at the name, you would think this is a very like dark spice fragrance, considering it's black spices or dark spices, but it's very bright and uplifting in my opinion. The orange top note is very gorgeous, blends really well with the sandalwood, and I think it's a really fun fragrance to wear. This is another one of those where when I'm wearing it, I do feel it around me. I do feel its presence, and I think it's really fun to kind of just smell the fragrance as you're walking around, because some do disappear, but this one's very present. Not once in a couple of years has someone complimented this fragrance on me, which is, I don't know if that's on this performance or if they just smell something in there and it smells familiar to the point where they don't think it's a fragrance. They think it's just like, I don't know, some type of like lotion or hair wash. I'm not saying it smells like that, but it's one of those things that maybe people do think it's just like a skin scent that you kind of just smell like that naturally. Highly enjoy this one. This was part of the original line as well, along with Musk Ravageur. So this was launched in the year 2000. It does smell more mature. So this is, maybe for an older gentleman or someone that's really confident in wearing this. But if you like orange, if you like the spices that I mentioned, you'll definitely enjoy Noir Épice. Highly underrated in the Frederic Malle line. Very complex again, and it would be nice to see some creative fragrances like this again from the brand. So bring back this type of artistry, because this is pretty amazing, and this is artistic, but it's also very wearable. Just like an old school type of fragrance, but I highly enjoy this. Next, we're gonna wear something that is another spicy fragrance that also has fruits in it, and this is Marc-Antoine Barrois B683 Extrait. So I got this over a year ago, and I've been wearing it quite regularly on any occasions, whether it's going out or just wearing it to bed or out and about, or just running a quick errand. But this one has safraline, you have green apple, agarwood, violet leaf, Indonesian patchouli leaf, cumin, Australian sandalwood, so another sandalwood fragrance in this. You got pink pepper and vanilla. So a lot of these fragrances that I'm mentioning, I've come to realize they all have spices, sandalwoods, lots of vanilla in a bunch of these. But they, they all work different. So, but to me, this one's basically a fruity oud, and that fruit is a green apple, so it's very sour and bright and crisp. So that kind of juxtaposes the very, dense oud that you get in here, which to me is not very abrasive, but to someone who's not used to, this type of scent, I can see how you might not like it. Considering this is made by Quentin Biche, which I know a lot of people are not a fan of, but I do enjoy his fragrances. I think he's continuing to, evolve as a perfumer, although he does, reuse some notes, but he does create some nice pieces, in my opinion. Does not fit in with the norm. He does like to experiment and see what works. Like for example, this one he did safraline, so you have a fake saffron note, but then he combined the, green apple, which I don't know many other fragrances with green apple. I know Frederic Malle has Promise, which is just a regular apple and oud, but this one's green apple, so very different taste. More candied apple, but this one, in my opinion, is another fun fragrance. Very highly complimented. I get lots of compliments on this one regularly. I pretty much like a good 90% success rate, and I've worn this on all types of occasions. So again, in the heat, in the cold, in different types of environments. But this is loud, so use this with caution. It is an extrait. It does last a long time. It does project a long time. It does get stuck to clothes, so just be aware of that. And if you think you're gonna offend somebody, it's possible, but this is also a very likable fragrance, in my opinion. That apple note kind of makes it a little more friendly, and is kind of like an inviting hug, and it's not just straight up oud and saffron. You do have that nice touch to it, nice little lighthearted touch. But this one is B683 Extrait from the brand. I know Ganymede is talked about highly, which I do own Ganymede Extrait, but this one, for example, B683 Extrait, I don't think people give it enough credit. It's often overlooked, especially because there is a lot of fruity ouds in the market, so I can see how that's possible, but I do highly recommend checking this out. And that is number 5. And then we'll end the video with one last fragrance, which also has Noir in the title. And when I was making this video, I was grabbing stuff off the shelf, and they all had the word Noir. So you had Noir piece over here, you had Santal Noir. I almost grabbed Noir de Noir by Tom Ford from the shelf, and at that point I was like, wait a minute, I see a theme going on here. But the one that I wanted to talk about was this one, which is another Tom Ford. So this is Tom Ford's Noir Anthracite. When I first tried this fragrance, I tried it on at the cosmetic company store here in San Marcos at the outlets, and they had these for 75% off. So this little thing, this 50 mil at that time was $33, and they had 7 more bottles. I should have definitely grabbed them all. I regret not doing that, but it was a killer deal, and I highly regret it. But anyways, when I first smelled this, I liked it. I liked it on paper, and it was right up my alley. But when I looked online, you know, I searched for Grantica while I was there at the store, and the ratings were really, really bad at that time. I think they were like a 3.4 out of 5 with like 1,000 reviews. As of today, you know, March 10th, 2025, I checked again, and the ratings have gone up. So it has garnered an uplift in ratings. So now it's 3.98 out of 5, which is not bad at all. But at the beginning, I don't think people were expecting such a transportive fragrance that is very spicy and heavy on the galbanum. But maybe now that people's noses have developed and you have a lot more younger audience, you know, tuning in and learning about new fragrances and notes, I think now it's starting to garner some popularity and some appreciation for what this is. And in my opinion, this is one of Tom Ford's best fragrances. Unfortunately discontinued, but this could have easily, you know, been in the private blend line, and if it was in that, you know, maybe it would have sold a lot better. But so this one's top notes are Sichuan pepper, ginger, and bergamot. In the middle you have spices, galbanum, jasmine, and then at the base you have ebony, cedar, birch, leather, sandalwood, patchouli, and amberwood. So at the base you have 5 different types of woods. You got spices, galbanum, so you got some florals in there. You got all kinds of parts of the forest, and that's kind of what this feels like. This feels like a damp, earthy soil with some nice spice in there. This Sichuan pepper is amazing. The spice in here is unlike, you know, kitchen spices that you're used to in other fragrances. This is, I mean, I guess Sichuan pepper is a kitchen spice as well, but not the traditional, you know, kitchen spice. This has a different type of feel to it. This isn't your traditional fresh green fragrance. This is very dark, and I think the Sichuan pepper fits in perfectly in here. And I think, you know, it's a shame that this is no longer in production. Bottles are still around, but you know, people are starting to charge a premium for it, which, you know, is part of the game. But there you go, guys. These are my top, or not even a top list, but these are my 6 picks of underrated fragrances that I have in my collection. Oh wait, I got one more that I totally forgot to grab. That was supposed to be part of the original video, but one second. Okay, I am back. So this one is one of the original bottles that I was supposed to grab, but I totally overlooked it on my shelf. But this is Moncler's La Solstice, and this is a, you know, recent-ish release, considering that Moncler just, you know, released their exclusive line. And this one is basically sandalwood and iris fragrance. Very comforting, very easy going in my opinion. And I've been wearing it quite a bit. I mean, I've probably worn 15 to 20 mils of it throughout the past year, which is, you know, pretty big in my opinion. This is one of my go-tos if I want to stand out a little bit, but if I also just don't want to think about, you know, what I'm going to wear. But this is a beautiful woody fragrance. Sandalwood here is very nice. This does remind me of you know, Le Labo Santal 33, but if you tone down all of that scratchiness and it was a lot more creamy, you do add that iris note in there. Just an easygoing fragrance in my opinion. Highly underrated. I've heard some of the other Monclers in the line are pretty good as well. I used to own the other black spicy one, I forget the name at this one, but I did trade that one recently for something really nice. So I do miss it, but I got some other stuff in the collection. And now I'm at 26 minutes, so I'm gonna cut this now. But this is my last pick. So this is La Solstice. If you like easy, clean going fragrances that do have a little bit of character, that are not basic, this is La Solstice by Moncler. Nice woody unisex fragrance. If you like sandalwood, if you like iris, you'll like that. Not much else to say about that one. It's a very simple fragrance, but alright guys, catch you in the next one.